Regulatorily speaking, could this happen?
Yeah, I think that would probably be one of the biggest challenges that Southwest would face. But if you look at the degree of overlap between Southwest and JetBlue, it's relatively modest outside of Fort Lauderdale. And I think beyond that, obviously, there's a political component to the M&A process, and Southwest has a fair amount of political capital. I think that it could use. It still has a reputation, I think, within the industry and within government, more importantly, of being kind of a low-fare, disruptive provider of air travel, and I think it could use that if it felt the need, like it needed to go forward with the JetBlue acquisition.
And you say buying Alaska could be another option here. Why do you now think an acquisition could be necessary for Southwest? What's changed?
Yeah, I think if you just look at some of the data points recently related to Boeing and the MAX and what seemed to be kind of a deteriorating relationship between them and the government, we just think that there's more risk that the grounding extends for a longer period of time, and then more importantly, that it just takes them longer to get back to the rate that they thought they would be at. And if Southwest looks at that and sees a multi-year period where their growth is constrained, there aren't too many alternatives other than trying to buy growth. And I think JetBlue is probably the opportunity that addresses that most cleanly for them.
That is, again, absolutely fascinating. You also upgraded JetBlue today for that same reason, moving their price target to 24. You mentioned they could be constrained for a multi-year period, Southwest. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think there are some reports over the weekend that Boeing is considering lowering production again on the MAX. If that were to materialize, that means that for a period of time they're going to be delivering fewer MAXs than they would have expected. And so if Southwest has a plan, if their growth assumes 40 to 45 MAXs per year get delivered over the next couple of years, and that becomes 20 to 25 because Boeing isn't delivering as many airplanes as they thought, then that means that Southwest isn't going to be able to execute on their growth strategy. And if you listen to Southwest management last earnings call, that was clearly what they were most frustrated about, is they recognize that they're handing share to their competitors. And Delta talked about on their call last week that they recognize that they've gained share and they plan on keeping that share. So there's a point at which Southwest views this as unacceptable and significant enough to push them to do something transformational, like look at JetBlue. They've said up until this point that they're not really at that tipping point.
Yep.
But if you have a period where they lose confidence in their ability to get these airplanes, that could push them to that tipping point.